Want to test for the dispatching of Redux actions. To give you some context here, when we first come into this page right here, in fact, I'm just going to refresh the page like this. When we first come into this page, I want to see an action dispatched to get the data behind this chart right here. And then when I come back to that page, let's say I'm doing some work here, and then I come back here, I should not dispatch the action because the charts data has already been gotten. So we want to test for such functionality. So let's see what's going on here. First things first, I want to jump into the code responsible for what you just saw here. So we have a component called treasury rates chart. That what you just saw was a treasury rates chart. And here we have this use mount effect hook right here. Now use mount effect is just a custom hook that I made. And all it does is, if you go into it, it's just the use effect hook, which takes in an empty dependency array. All that means is this effect runs one time upon the mounting of the component. So back to the code here, you see, inside this mount effect, once the component is mounted, we say if the treasury rates has not been set, then dispatch our action right here. The treasury rates being set is also part of our state. But in other words, though, we want to ensure that this action is dispatched only when the treasury rates is not set. And let's go ahead and check that out here. So once again, this is a Redux action. If I were to go all the way down here, you'll see using the connect API, I have connected my component to have this Redux action right here. So let's go ahead and test this out and see how this works. So in my test file right here, you see, first of all, my very first test is dispatch action on render if not set. So if the TR at the treasury rates is not set, I want to dispatch the actions on render. So what's going on here? Well, first things first, to even render such a component here, we have to do some setup. So the first setup is, because this is a Redux based component, let's say, I want to obviously set it up correctly. So I want to give it a mock store. Essentially here, I've just configured a store. I've configured a store with some middlewares here. Middleware is just an empty array right here with some state as well. The initial state is what I'm highlighting here. This is just the initial state. Now my app state has a lot more fields to it. So of course we have a bunch of fields here, but again, we're not testing for all these fields. We only want to test for the state in question, which is treasury rates set. So I've just cast it to an app state so we don't get any compilation errors here. But anyway, this is our initial state to create our mock store. And then we want to capture any actions that are dispatched. So we go ahead and we get the actions right away. So this right here at this point is an array. This is an array and it's by reference. So what will happen here is once I render this treasury rates chart component, then I expect right away upon render the dispatched actions to equal this right here, to contain equal this actions treasury rates requested. What's going on here? All I'm saying is, as soon as this renders, mounts and then renders, the render will count for both, but as soon as that happens, then I expect my dispatched actions to contain the action that has been dispatched. It's as simple as that. So this is what happens upon if it's not set. Keep in mind here, the treasury rates set, I have set it to false. That's why I expect my action to be dispatched. Now another test here is if it's already set, then, well, it's simple. Do not dispatch the action. So here you see I have made it true. The same setup, all here. And then I'm saying expected to not contain the dispatch action that we have right here. So that's that. These are just the two tests. We have more tests here, but these tests are related to other things in the component. This video, I just want to focus on the dispatching of actions, how to test for such a functionality right here. So that's that. It's as simple as that. I mean, we can even go into the tests here and see how it works. So if I were to run these tests again, and I were to go into the specific file that we want to check, and then we're going to wait for this, and you see all the tests passed. Now I'll show you a test failing if this does not happen as expected. So where should we go here? We're going to go back to our treasury, this mount effect here, and we'll just take out this exclamation mark. All we're saying is the opposite. Do the opposite of what we want to do, and you should be seeing tests fail right now. So let's go look at that. And as we expected, both our tests failed because we are doing the exact opposite. So it's always good to observe that your tests are failing upon the incorrect action, and then they're passing upon the correct action. That way you know that your tests are set up correctly. This video here is just to show you how to set up tests for the testing of the dispatching of actions. That's that. Hope it was helpful.